This post right here is a cautionary tale. We have been talking about having several backup plans and being able to survive regardless of your marital situation. There's a lot of lessons in this one post, and unfortunately, I'm going to be interjecting my thoughts as I read versus reading all the way through. Some of these things have to be highlighted in the moment. She says he won't marry me after 16 years and 2 kids. She's depressed. She says, I'm a 38-year-old woman who has been dating a 40-year-old man for 16 years. I feel so depressed and disposable because he won't marry me. Part of our issue as women is that we attach being married to a man or our status with a man to our self worth. The fact that she feels disposable because this man won't marry her, it speaks to a larger situation, societal pressure that marriage is what makes you whole and what makes you valuable. And I wish women would move away from this. She says, we have been together for 16 whole years. We have 2 daughters, 4 and 8. I wanted to be married before having kids, but he basically said he thought that if he married me first, then I might decide not to have any kids and he would be stuck never having any. So I was guilted into having them before being married. Ladies, if you have a value system, if you have something that is your standard or an expectation, don't allow a man's mumbo jumbo, his BS, to move you off of your square. If you want to be married and have kids, don't let somebody talk like this to you. You need to have a value system. If someone doesn't meet those expectations or those standards, then you move on. You don't just bow down because this is something that's big in your life. Now this woman is stuck and she's depressed. She says, I have felt horrible about my situation for years, but last summer, about a month before our 16-year anniversary, I started to feel much worse. I'm depressed and I think about it multiple times a day. I feel like a joke, like a disposable piece of trash, like I'm not good enough to be loved completely. I'm a stay at home mom, so I depend on him financially, so it's not just as simple as just moving out. Once again, this is the reason why I say the things that I say and keep hammering these things home. Don't do this. Don't just move in and live your life completely dependent upon somebody. This is not a good situation. If she's been with this man for 16 years and she's 38, that means that she's been with this person since she was 22 years old. Does she have an education? Does she doesn't have any career experience if this is how she's been living. This don't do this. This is a cautionary tale. This is not to beat up on this woman, it's to not be this woman. She says, I'm so embarrassed. I feel worthless. I have one very good friend that I met 4 years ago. She thinks we are married and I've never corrected her. His parents and siblings refer to me as their daughter or sister in law. His mom introduces me to people as his fiance because she knows that the term girlfriend doesn't seem serious enough after 16 years. But his younger brother just got engaged, and his dad was sending group texts about how she will be a real family member now. I know he probably didn't even think of me, but I was hurt. Both of my unofficial sister in laws told me later they separately brought it up that they instantly noticed it and both of them said something about it to their dad. He told them both that they were making a big deal out of nothing. It feels like they just all assume I'll always just be there, the forever girlfriend. I've been there watching as both of his sisters and both of my sisters dated, got married, had kids, and got divorced. I have 9, not really official nieces and nephews. I'm aunt to them and godmother to a few, but sometimes I feel like I'm still a fake. A few months ago at confession, the priest wouldn't absolve me of any sins because I couldn't tell him that I wouldn't fornicate again. Older priests always have because staying with him in a fake family was best for my kids. The younger priest wouldn't do it, and I was crying hysterically. So she is this attached to a religious tradition that she is crying hysterically. She is allowing this random human person to impact her emotions to this point where she's crying hysterically. No real human man has the capacity or the ability to absolve you of your sins. You know that you're fornicating. Why are you looking for somebody to wipe that clean? If you are religious and you believe in this, how is somebody going to wipe your sins clean? Believing in this stuff, you're either going to believe it or not believe it. And if you believe in fornication as a sin, then nobody is going to wipe that away. Why are you hysterical about that? Now, every time I think about that, I get choked up. I can't go up for communion at Mass. So, on top of feeling not good enough, I also feel like I'm going to hell. Okay, I love him, but since this depression started this summer, I feel different about him and all men. I now think all men are incapable of love. For the sake of my daughters, I need to stay with him, but I don't know how to handle feeling this way for 14 more years. I've been trying to tell myself that when I'm 52 plus, I will have a chance to find someone who will actually love me completely. I honestly don't know how I can stop feeling so horrible. I think about it multiple times a day, every single day. How do I get over it? Or what do I do to improve things? How could I talk him into it? Ugh, I don't know if I could. I just feel so lost. Thanks for reading this long mess. If you're in this situation, you got to start off with trying to get some certification, some work from home job. You got to get your finances together. And do you really want to marry somebody who has not wanted to marry you for this long? Like, what is the purpose even? If he wanted to marry her, he would marry her. And he hasn't. So why even stay? I'm team walk away, but team walk away after getting your ducks in a row. Now, for a few of these comments, you cannot talk him into marrying you because he does not want to marry you. Here are things I think you should do. Look into your rights as a common law spouse in your area. Get a job, even if it's part time while your children are in school. Tell your friend the truth. You can't call her a good friend if you are lying to her and you need her support. Stop thinking you need to stay with him for your daughters. That is the worst reason to stay for you and your daughters. Ask your family for help and support. You obviously want to leave this man. Start working towards that. Once you know what you are entitled to and your rights, and you get your own jobs, come up with a plan and get your life back. Yes, do not wait till you are 52. Why are you going to spend so many years? 14 more years. So you're with this person for 30 years and you aren't entitled to anything. You're depressed. What kind of life is that? And what kind of example are you setting for your daughters? This is a whole mess. Don't do this, ladies. You hear this story, do everything the opposite of this. Don't do this at all. This person says yes, aka getting your ducks in a row. Do not let him be aware of your plans to leave. It's like poker. Keep your cards close to the vest. This person says, depending on the kind of guy, I would let him suspect I am withdrawing. Even tell him this is something I want in my life and plan to move toward that goal in the next year. I know you don't, and that's okay. The fear of losing someone is the strongest motivator sometimes, and I don't think the OP's boyfriend ever thought she would leave him. I don't know if that's some good. I don't think that that's good advice right there. I'll do this final one. This was the case for my husband. He had been badly burned in a relationship just before we got together. After 4 years of dating, I told him in no uncertain terms that he had one more year to make the choice, or I would make the choice for him, that I loved him deeply and dearly and wanted my future with him, but I wasn't willing to give up my dreams of being a wife and mother for him or anyone else. He proposed the following July. We've been married for 8 years with two beautiful sons. He even admitted to me that he was scared of becoming engaged because that's when he was cheated on last time. I told him, in fairness, he can't punish me for someone else's deeds and that I'd never given him any reason to doubt my loyalty. Some men just need reassurance and a little nudge. It worked out for her. I'm not sure how it will do for this particular conversation, this particular post, but you guys go ahead, weigh in on what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This woman asked the question in Christian marriage. You cheated. Are you happy now? She says, hi, this is to the cheaters out there who ended up married to the person you were cheating with. Just out of curiosity, are you happier now? How is your relationship with your ex-spouse? All right, Golden Arm says, can I ask why you're asking? It's such a terrible way to start a relationship, one built on lies and deceit, fundamentally built on sin. Some people are worldly, happy from it, but as a Christian who wants to be more like Jesus, I'd imagine the internal strife to be immense. And then this is the OP. She says, just saw a text message from a woman to my husband calling him baby with a heart emoji. My husband is a sweet man, goes to church every Sunday, great relationship with parents, but I can't wrap around my head that someone can do something like that. This person says, people who start a relationship cheating rarely end up happy. Statistics say only 20% even stay together, and trust is always a big issue between them. Rightly so. I'm so sorry you're going through something. So Yaris, the OP, says, this is a tough one so far, and I don't know how to move past this. This is brutal. And Golden R says, hold on. Is this how your relationship with your husband started? And she responds with, no, I'm being cheated on. Another context I wanted to share. I prayed so much that God would open my eyes and show me things, and I asked God to give me the strength to take it, be it guardian angel or the Holy Spirit. I was feeling that something was off, and then when I prayed that prayer, went to confession, God really does His work, and at a snap of a finger, it just amazes me what how wonderful my God is. And then Sir Lister said, Holy Spirit will reveal quickly once you pray this prayer. I've experienced it as well. Pray protection over yourself and your family. Don't forget, this is the plan of the enemy to destroy marriages. Okay. Sounds okay. This person says, sounds like the Lord is revealing things to you. This person says, I'm sorry, your Yaris. Have you confronted your husband? Is it confirmed? That message alone is enough to be suspicious, but isn't confirmation that he's cheating. Okay, so then Yaris says, not yet. I don't know how he would react. I expect a loving husband would feel sorry and regret about what he is doing, but I don't know anymore. I don't know if he's really deep with this woman and he might want to ask for a divorce, and I don't want to get divorced. I think another possibility is that just to keep this to myself and keep praying. Okay, so somebody asked, 187 days ago, you wanted a divorce. What changed? And Yara says, yes, I was distraught that I was feeling neglected in some ways and felt this is the solution. But I prayed for it, asked God for guidance and show me the way. We were back and forth, but eventually decided to be together. We never actually say it, but more through actions. But it always felt off. Something is attacking us. I felt like this is not us and not our doing. I saw a tweet or a post that said to cheat on a Christian woman because she would just blame the devil. She is blaming everybody else except for her husband and her husband's decision making. Because what the F is this? If she's distraught and feeling neglected, and now she's seeing these text messages after she prayed for things to be revealed, she just literally wants to stay with this man. So this was her post from 6 months ago. After 10 years of marriage, I think I'm ready to get a divorce from an emotionally unavailable partner. I am non-Muslim. I know this is a bit weird asking for divorce tips from a public forum. So how do I do this discreetly, respectfully, and tactfully? And how much will it cost me and my soon-to-be ex-partner? So she is with an emotionally unavailable partner and she feels like she's being neglected, but she's praying because something is attacking her partner. Sometimes these people can be exhausting. When do prayers actually move people into just doing things that make sense? Divorce is perfectly fine if you're being cheated on. And that's the reason why sometimes I get so exasperated at this kind of stuff. Like, just move on. Selno says, my husband and I went through a very tough period and it really felt like a bad spell was on us. This experience actually brought me closer to God and Jesus and helped me connect with them through prayer. It was like this bad energy in the air that made us twist the meaning of each other's words and actions. We didn't know what to do, and we both felt lost on a spiritual level. It is great you already enjoy such a great connection with God. Finding time to pray and really figure out what you're grateful for and what you need to work on is the first step. That said, even if it feels like there's a bad influence tormenting you, your husband is still responsible for his actions, and it does sound like he's acting in a way that has harmed you and your marriage, but you will not know for sure until you ask. Even then, he may lie, but you know him. You will probably be able to tell. I'm so sorry you're having to go through this. Marriage is hard work. If you've decided to work on it and fight for your marriage, it's disheartening that you immediately find this. Can you go to counseling? Even if this ends up being innocent, I don't know. You should go. You guys are having trouble and need some help. Wish you the best. When people pray for stuff and something is revealed, why do they ignore it? Why did they even pray to begin with? I don't get it. But that's just me. I'm a heathen. I don't pray for things, and I certainly don't ignore obvious things in my face. Y'all can go ahead and jump in. This is exasperating to me. So, y'all like, comment, and share. Okay, so one of my followers wanted me to broach this subject about a common assumption that women are manipulative. And she continues with, my daughter was pregnant with twins, and I had people always asking if she was hoping for boys. The reason that they would give is because boys are easier. And people always saying that boys are easier seem to probably be the ones that are creating these adult males that have no adulting skills because they just assume that boys were easier, and that is because they probably weren't giving them actual life lessons and teaching them things. They just let them do whatever because it's just easier to let them do whatever. Okay, so I just went off on a tangent. She said she would ask why, and even the mothers of girls would say girls are conniving, girls are manipulative, girls are sneaky. And of course, they would always bring up worrying about them after they start puberty because everyone is afraid of girls having sex. She says, personally, I think aside from the puritanical views of women and promiscuity, it's also because they believe that men are less intelligent emotionally and they don't have the same thought patterns as women. And they see it as manipulative because they don't really listen or pay enough attention to detail to see the big picture. Anyways, she says she knows that I got a lot of content. Okay, anyways, I wanted her to give me some links. Do you have anything to jumpstart this? And one of the links that she gave me was this Reddit thread, and this is from a year ago. She says, this post is titled, Why is Crying Automatically Seen as Manipulative? So we're going to use this as a conversation starter. Do you see women as being manipulative simply for having emotions or crying? Do you see women as manipulative or conniving? Is that what you see us as? I know that a lot of internal misogyny is running rampant amongst women, but I personally don't just see that as a blanket statement. Anyways, let's do this post. Why do men think that them feeling guilty for upsetting you is the same thing as you manipulating them by being upset? Not even necessarily crying, but showing any negative emotions is you manipulating them into giving you what you want. I've noticed this not just in relationships, but with men in general. Or if you did something wrong and you feel guilty for it, you're still the one being manipulative and not taking responsibility because it took responsibility, I guess. I'm sorry, because if you took responsibility, I guess you wouldn't feel any negative feelings at all. I don't know. I feel like my whole life, anytime I showed any negative emotions at all, I was a bad person. All right, so let's look at some of these comments. There's always a lot of good conversation in the comments. So, okay, then I guess says, it's an easy way for sheep men to ignore the harm they're doing and blame their victim. My father is like this. A-hole will call you every name in the book, stomp all over your feelings, ignore your boundaries, and then when the tears inevitably come, it's don't start that whining, crying BS on me. She says it's also been a precursor to physical abuse. So um, that is something that happens. They push you until you cry. They, emotionally and mentally abuse you, and then you cry, and then you're all of a sudden being manipulative. And I've seen that happen. That's why I want to pull out some of the comments. This person, Glamorous Bunchberry, says, I think a lot of men are confronted with emotions they don't know how to deal with when women cry. The ones are enraged by that. I'm guessing it's yet another side effect of teaching men to suppress every emotion except anger and lust. So that is also a good comment. But they also do have rage and passion and entitlement, I'm sure. But the lack of emotional intelligence and emotional range means that they can't recognize and pinpoint other people's emotions. This person says, this puts into words better than I could have done myself. My wife cries easily with any heavy emotions, and there is an ingrained guilt that bubbles up every time. We're lucky enough to be able to work through these things. I think people with bad attitudes will lash out. It's the only emotion the boys in the family were taught as children. Yes, this is one of the things that socialization has done to harm boys. If a boy has any kind of feelings or outward emotions, parents, both parents will probably try to squash that because boys don't cry. And that leads to men who aren't able to have a range of adults. They're not able to because they were squashed when they were boys. So we got to get to the point of socializing our boys now. Let's correct that. Let's allow boys to have a range of emotion without saying that this is not something that boys and men do, because that keeps them emotionally stunted. It doesn't allow for them to grow. Okay, this person says, I hear you there. Something very visceral about seeing your partner in tears. It doesn't generate rage, though, more a feeling of not knowing how to respond. So I usually just hug her and try to talk out emotions. They're valid. I'm just not always equipped to respond when it's family dynamics or self esteem related. So this is where teaching men and boys to squash their emotions. This is probably one of the reasons why women have so much more empathy for people and can read the room and read people a lot easier, because we have been allowed to have emotions, because emotions and feelings have always been painted into the box of female. Like, this goes in the female box, and stoic and confident and aggressive goes in the male box. So, that's the reason why we need to do away with this whole masculine and feminine, because it stunts the men. Women have full capacity, full range of emotional intelligence. Men and boys are left with like two or three that they're even able to recognize. Towards the middle, I want to read this one. She says, I think masculinity idolizes dispassionate rationalism, which means the men affected by it are constantly fighting to not have emotional responses. But empathy isn't an easy thing to shut off. And so even these manly, rational men can't help but feel something when they see someone crying. But that then triggers all of their own anxiety about being seen as weak. That's what I was kind of meaning when they tell boys that boys can't cry or boys can't have these feelings, because that impacts, not being manly or rational. And, they always want to act all logical, but it simply just stunts their humanity. All right. What I wanted to do was have a conversation, and I think that I have provided enough to have a conversation. What do you think about women being seen as manipulative, as an assumption, and this whole, I am bringing the fact that I think it's because men are emotionally intelligent. I'm sorry, their lack of emotional intelligence has stunted their humanity. That is my theory. I want y'all to weigh in, though. What do you think about that? Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button.